All right, students, keep in mind today with our 1-point perspective, we're going to be working with the theme of Peter Max. So remember, he does landscapes, showing pictures of outside. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to come up with extra details, things to add to the sky. A lot of his has some space themes and stars, so just keep that in mind with your things. Right, with your 1-point perspective today, we're going to go ahead and do our horizon line, our vanishing point, and we're going to introduce how to do our leading lines to make our shapes look like they are receding in space. All right, first thing you need to do is write your name on your paper. Put your name in the bottom corner, so in case you have to flip over your paper, you don't have to waste time erasing your name. Okay, flip it over. With your ruler, you're going to make your straight horizon line near about the third of your paper. So I'm just eyeballing about half down to a third. And I like the clear rulers because this helps me make sure that my line is straight. Right, if you see the line by the 0, I'm going to make sure that line lines up with the edge of my paper. It's just going to help me make sure that even if my line is straight, my ruler is also straight. So I can see right now that it's not touching. Scooch it over. I'm going to place my hands in the center, even out my fingers. And you always want to have your hand out of the way. So if you're left-handed, you'll be using your right hand and going from the right to left. If you're right-handed, hold with your left hand and go from your left to right. Make sure that your pencil touches the ruler. Don't go above it. You want a straight line. So gently press and go all the way across. All right, this is your horizon line. You can move it up if you'd like, however much space you want. Adding my vanishing point, a small point there. And then I'm going to actually be adding a curved line around my vanishing point. And I'm going to add about a 1-inch square to the top corner. What I mean by 1-inch square is that it is not this big and it is not this big, somewhere in between. If you want to use your ruler, 0 to 1. I want to have it on either the left or right side so I can see the process of 1-point perspective. Again, I like using the clear rulers because I can see my lines. I'm not covering anything up. And it's alright if your square looks like that. That's why we trace and erase at the end. Right, with a shape like a square, you're going to just put a couple of tiny dots on each of the corners. This is going to help you line up your edges to your vanishing point. So again, why I like the clear rulers. I'm going to first, again, if I'm right-handed, my left hand is going to guide my ruler, and I'm going to be drawing on top of my ruler. I'm going to want to line up the bottoms of my dots. So my first one is here, and a lot of times your ruler will look like this. I can't see my dot, my vanishing point, so I have to hold on top, move it down, so I can see that my ruler is touching both of my points. Once you have that, go ahead and draw your line. If you are left-handed, you're going to want to use your right hand and go to the top of the dots. That way, when you are drawing your line, this hand is not in the way. You're not awkwardly reaching over. Right, once you have that first point to point, line up the second one. Now this one's a good example of it not working. I have to hold it here, turn it down. Now I see my vanishing point, spread out my fingers, and draw my next line. There's 2. My next line, and dot to dot. And we have a start there. Now the reason I'm not using this line is because I want to see the face of my shape. My shape is a square. If I was to draw a line from dot to dot here, and I'll show you what it is, I'll erase it. If I was to do that, it will work for different techniques, but for this technique of how we're showing 1-point perspective, I want to see the face of my shape. So I'm drawing a line straight through it. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to erase that line, because by the way we're looking at it, you would not see that line. It'd be behind our shape. All right. You may add at least 4 to 5 more objects. You can put them closer to the vanishing point, above the vanishing point, to the side, and spread them out. I'm going to show you how to do a circle and a shape above your vanishing point. If you feel comfortable moving on, you may. If you still would like to watch and follow along, please do so. So with the circle, I have tracers, but just sketch your best. I'm going to go lightly, going over without erasing. And since a circle doesn't have any sides or any corners, it has just the edges, think of a spotlight, like Batman. And I'm going to line my ruler up with the vanishing point and the edge of my circle. This would be good if you're doing planets, if you're doing a crescent moon shape, hearts. Those all have just round edges rather than corners. So my vanishing point, going to hold it to the edge, but I'm not following my own rules. Remember, I don't want to reach over my hand. So I'm moving this over. And that's how you would do a round shape. I'm going to do a triangle above my horizon line. This changes your leading line. So if I was to go above the horizon line, above the vanishing point, here are my corners. Okay. Dot to dot. Again, dot to dot. And I'm left with this one up here. But remember, if I'm going to be drawing through the face of my shape, it's a line that I would not see. It's behind the object. So with that one, you're really only going to have 2 lines. If it was a square, it would only be the bottom 2. So if it looks like this, it's not incorrect. That's how you want it to look. All right, once you get to a point where you have about 4 to 5 different shapes, depending on what you're trying to create, you're going to add just a few more lines to break up this larger space. I'm going to add my next and final shape for this demonstration. You can make yours more complex. Let's see, I had that really close. And let's see, I'm going to actually add one right here. This is what happens too if you have something that's going to be overlapping. My moon is going to kind of hit where my triangle is at. So again, if I'm crossing over another line, I don't want to draw over it. I'm just going to have a little line right there. And with my crescent moon, there's another dot. And I'm going to stop right there. Otherwise, it'd be drawing through the moon. And there we go. I'm going to go do my rays of the sun, vanishing point to the edge of my paper. And this is just breaking up my space, so I have areas to color. It will be more clear once you start doing your tracing and erasing. Even right here, I'm going to start my line. All right, and there's your introduction to drawing your 1-point perspective.